Shalom. I'm a Hebrew Israelite that has been called by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Arakakadash, to eat the roll and to go out here and to gather his elect, whoever they are, scattered amongst the four corners of the earth. As always, I'm going to begin by facing the east. I want to say all praise, honor, and glories to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Arakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles and bishops, a great millstone who teach and still rule well, and entered into the labors of other men such as Rabbi Abba Bivens, who was Elijah set forth to come to help pave the way for who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ and his second coming, and by men by the likes of Malak Mashal, Elder High Priest Yaikwab, his son Elder High Priest Ariah, and to the hopeful elect and the men that are around the four corners of the earth speaking this truth. And to the other hopeful elect, men, women, and children scattered all over the four corners of the earth who believe. Shalom, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, Barakatham to all of y'all. Just want to go ahead and get right on into it. In terms of more clarification on these people who are trying to implement the mark of the Be East. Because we're still, you know, we're in a time of wars and rumors of wars. Because DJT is, you know, he's all over the goddamn place. And like Elder Apostle Tahar did a video yesterday in regards to Nero being a madman. You know, he's now taking the same type of gestures and moves like BB Mel Doodoo Head. All right, where in terms of like he's always got some shit brewing with war and everything, because they know if the dust settles, BB Milkowski will end up being persecuted for all of his war crimes and so on and so forth. Now we have Nero 47 here in Babylon, who's taking on the same gestures as BB Milkowski, because if all the dust settles, he's gonna have to go down for the Mepstein miles. All right. But this is some clarification in terms of some of the tabernacles of Esau Edom in today's lesson. Oh, and to the scattered elect, pursuant to Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 9, the scattered elect of the so-called, the scattered elect who are going to look like people from the other heathen nations. There's 18 nations in total, but as a punishment, as part of our curse for being idolatrous and going off and pissing the Most High off, we got scattered amongst all the other nations. So you're going to have people, Israelites of the elect, who look like so-called white people, who look like so-called Asians, who look like so-called Arabs, so-called Hawaiian or Pacific Islanders. You know, they're gonna look like so-called Africans. Some examples is Charlie Sheen. He's from the Northern Kingdom. He's from one of them Latin tribes. Got a lot of actors and actresses who, like say for instance, Quincy Jones's daughter. You know, he married a so-called white woman, and his daughter came out. She's an actress too. She's got like that blue. She's got like brunette hair, and she looks like a so-called white woman. But you can see, what's that basketball player's name? Blake Griffin. His father is a so-called Haitian, so he's a Levite, and his father was a so-called black man. He's darker than me, and his wife was a so-called white woman. And then, you know, in just one generation, which is his son Blake Griffin and his brother, they look like so-called white people. And then Blake Griffin got with a so-called white woman, and now his son and daughter look like two so-called white kids. They got blonde hair and everything. All right. That quarterback for Kansas State, I don't know if he's there. He's going to be there this year, but his father is a so-called black man. His mother's a so-called white woman. And he's got long, you know, that long traditional, dirty blonde, brownish blonde hair, and it's stringy. But that's a so-called Negro. And that's a big problem over there in North Carolina where I'm from too, because you had a lot of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi brought over there to Virginia back in the 1600s. And a lot of so-called white people over there too. So you got a lot of Levites and Benjamites over there in North Carolina. And them Benjamites, the so-called Jamaicans, they don't have those traditional so-called West Indian accents. Talking all kind of like Jamaican, don't you know? They don't really have that. But a lot of them be down there though. I think I'm a so-called Negro. But also too, Gad and Reuben and the so-called Negroes were spread amongst that area down there, and then they were consolidated as just straight up Negroes. So a lot of people that look like me, that are darker than me, they might be Gad, they might be Reuben. You know, I might be Gad, I might be Reuben. I don't know. I could be Judah, I could be Gad, Reuben, Benjamin, or Levi. I don't know. But nonetheless, to the scattered elect, Shalom. All right, this is Psalms the 83rd chapter. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his image. Now, how was he able to cause all? Now, who was the all that? Now, who was the all that is talking about? It's the self-proclaimed so-called white man, pursuant to Job 9:24, which says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Now, this is in regards to all the cooperation that Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, has. This is Psalms the 83rd chapter, a song or psalm of Asaph. Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Now, the head of this heathen renegade against the Heavenly Father, if you will, is being led by one nation out of all 17 of them. That's the self-proclaimed so-called white man. That's the head of this tumult that has lifted up the head. And how have they lifted up the head? They lifted up the head as the apex organisms here on earth and out into the cosmos. You know, they say that they got the image of God up there as them, his only begotten son, who the world calls JC, the so-called or the angels. They look like so-called white kids. You know, the first man, Adam, is a so-called white man, or looking. That's how they covered the faces of the judges thereof. Back during the time of slavery here in the 16, 17, 1800s, they gave what was called the Slave Bible, where they took out a lot of books of the scriptures, the Holy Scriptures, and then like pretty much consolidated it and narrowed it down to the curse of Ham for looking upon his father Noah's nakedness, and his son Canaan got the curse, saying that thou shalt serve thy brother. So that's why Esau Edom said back during the time of slavery with that slave Bible, yeah, you know, it's good for you to be a slave. You be a good slave, you get a good treat, and you get to go to heaven. So fuck you, all right? They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. That's what Esau Edom and the other 16 heathen nations have done against the people on this side, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And if you notice, that's a part of that covering cast that Esau, that's a part of him fulfilling Job 9:24. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. That's a part of that covering cast by, instead of calling us, like I'm a Negro, so instead of calling me of the tribe of Judah, I'm called a Negro. Before Negro, after Negro, it was black, then it was African American. Now with the Indians, you know, you got Seminole Indians, Native Americans, you know, you got Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Panamanians, you know, these are all bywords, all right? For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. Now here are some of them. The tabernacles of Edom, which are like the tabernacles are like the royal elect family, elect high ones, if you will, of the so-called white man, because this whole nature reality is based upon Jacob and Esau, all right? Now, it goes on to say, in the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes. So the tabernacles of Edom, like the Spirit said through Elder Apostle Gabar, this is what I'm trying to do here in the Spirit, is go in and show that I'm not just talking about the average, everyday, 9-to-5 Joe Smoes, Joe Sixpack Edomite, though he is going into captivity. I'm talking about the ones who even enslaved them and have them working here in their own kingdom, which makes them two-time losers. I met a guy the other day, it's about a month ago, and we were talking about, just, the Atlas 3AI Atlas and all that. And then he just goes on to mention that he is of the Chase family, Chase, the Chase family. All right. Now, I pose this question here in regards to the Chase family, because you got to think of JP Morgan Chase, the banking family. All right. This is one of the families that make up the Tabernacles of Edom, along with the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the DuPonts, the Sassoons, the Lehmans, the Barings, the Barclays. All right. It says, here's the question I posed on ChatGPT. How did the Chase family profit from the transatlantic slave trade? It says, which is a lie right here. It says, this is ChatGPT. It says, institutions connected to the Chase banking lineage did profit indirectly from slavery and the transatlantic slave economy, especially through finance, insurance, and cotton. Chase Manhattan Bank, later JP Morgan Chase. This is where slavery connections do appear, not through Solomon P. Chase himself, but through earlier banks that later merged into Chase. All right. So this Chase family is always out here. They were always in connection with the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. And remember, I did a video last summer in regards to Aaron Russo, the famous interview with Aaron Russo, talking about how he had a conversation with Nick Rockefeller about how they want to have everyone chipped. All right. Now, how Chase linked banks profited from slavery, financing the cotton economy. Enslaved labor was the backbone of U.S. cotton production, especially in the Deep South. Banks that later became part of Chase issued loans to plantation owners, accepted cotton produced by enslaved people as collateral. They financed cotton brokers and exporters. Even without owning enslaved people, banks made money off the system that depended on them. Then I pose this question here. To go deeper into JP Morgan's admission, as well as the Rothschilds, the Barclays, the Browns, the Barings, and the Lehman family profit from the transatlantic slave trade. In 2005, JP Morgan Chase publicly acknowledged and apologized for its historical ties to slavery. Its predecessor banks in Louisiana, also known as Citizens Bank and Canal Bank, accepted enslaved people as loan collateral from plantation owners in the antebellum U.S. South. When debtors defaulted, the bank sometimes took ownership of those enslaved people. Between 1831 and 1865, these banks accepted roughly 13,000 enslaved people as collateral and ended up owning about 1,250. So this guy is a part of people that is known for having slaves. Now, at the time when he said he was of the Chase family, I didn't know this, but now I know. So if I see that guy now, I'm gonna shoo him off, man. Like, yeah, just best we don't talk. So people like this are walking around this world, man, especially here in Arizona, in this part of town, the Cottonwood and Sedona, man. There's a lot of well-to-do, rich children who are part of these rich international banking families, and they're out here now, like, acting like hippies and, talking to people, and a lot of kidnappings happen around here. I'm just saying. In its admission and apology to the public and in compliance with Chicago disclosure rules, JP Morgan Chase acknowledged that its corporate lineage was involved in and profited from this system of enslavement and the broader slave-based economy. The firm also later established a $5 million scholarship program for black students as part of their reparative measurements, or like reparations or something. Which shows you earlier, when I read about, shows you that this man, Esau Edom, they know that they're the Edomites, the rich banking family. The average everyday Joe Smo Edomite, they don't know that they're Edomites. Esau Edom has got his own people in contractual slavery and captivity. All right. And like I said, as I always read, I did a video showing that they got places here in in Babylon called Edom, Texas, Edom, Virginia, and there was a former Edom in California. So right now, this is about the self-proclaimed so-called white man. Banks made money by providing credit and financing to slaveholders using enslaved people as collateral, effectively borrowing against human lives. When borrowers defaulted, banks took both land and enslaved people, enhancing their assets directly from the institutions of slavery. Now, here's some of the families. The Lehman Brothers, the cotton brokers built on slavery. The investment of Lehman Brothers was founded in 1850 by three brothers who began their careers as cotton brokers in Alabama. And I'm gonna jump down to, you got the Brown Brothers here. Brown Brothers Harriman traces its roots to early 19th century merchant families involved in cotton trade, a trade dependent on slave labor. Now the Barclays and the Rothschilds. Now if you notice on all products, right, whether it's foods or elsewhere, all products on the boxes that contain the products, they all have an R in a circle. That stands for the Rothschilds. They're the richest. They are the richest top elite banking family. And Meyer Amschel Bauer is Esau Edom himself. All right. And the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers is like a small offshoot from the Rothschilds, but they're from the same lineage. And they are the elect wicked of the so-called Edomites who rule this world. Just like the house of David, the 144,000 and the 1/3 and the 12 are the elect of, they're the elect house and family of the nation of Israel, underneath Yahweh Shah, who the world fraudulently calls JC. The Rothschild Bank did have some links to slavery historically, primarily through participation in financial agreements related to Britain's abolition of slavery. The firm helped arrange the British government's £15 million loan to compensate enslavers after the slavery abolishment of 1833. Just like how those French, Napoleon and them, they got reparations because those Haitians, those Levites over there, beat their ass off that island. The slave owners, who lost men and lost the ability to enslave the Levites, they ended up getting reparations. That's what this is talking about here in regards to the Slave Abolition Act of 1833 in regards to the Rothschilds. It was a loan that British taxpayers and institutions paid off over many generations. So the slave owners got reparations and we didn't. All right. Archives also show that Nathan Meyer Rothschild himself was a claimant in the British slave owner compensation scheme. See, it was a scheme. He received payment for a mortgage related to a plantation in Antigua that included enslaved people. Overall, the ways these families and financial institutions benefited included loans and credit to plantation owners, secured by enslaved people as collateral, foreclosures on estates and enslaved people when debts were not paid, effectively transferring ownership, cotton trade brokering, underwriting and insuring goods and people tied to the slave economy, financing government debt related to slave owner compensation after abolition. So even if modern descendants of corporations no longer participate in such practices, their historical growth and capital accumulation were deeply intertwined with slavery through direct ownership, collateral practices, and lending, trade, financing, or compensation-linked financial instruments. So you see, these are the people who we know for a fact, like I said, the Browns, the Lehmans, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Barclays, the Lehmans, and the Barings. These are the elite tabernacles or houses of Esau Edom, with the Rothschilds being right there at the very tip top. And the Rockefeller family is right underneath them because they're of the same lineage. And the Sassoons. SASOON E-S, the Sassoons, I believe. No, S-A-S-O-O-N-S. So these people make up the tabernacles of Edom. Now, for the rest of you people who are lesser, lower class Edomites from the Idumean family, now your people have you out here in contractual slavery, just like they have us in contractual slavery via these birth certificates. And, you're going to go into captivity right along with the elite bankers that go into captivity. That makes you a two-time loser. And that's your fucking problem. Okay? So, and to show you that these people rule the world, here's Daniel's, and that the Most High rules and is in control of all this. This is Daniel's 4:17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basest of men. So even though these Rothschilds and these Rockefellers and these DuPonts, they run the world, they are the basest of men. What would prove that right here is 2nd Ezra chapter 6 verse 56. As for the other people which also come of Adam, because all people, the story of Adam is true. We all come from Adam. All 18 nations come from the lineage of Adam. All right, and Adam was Yahushua back then, and the children of Israel were amongst them back then, known as the children of the sons of God, or the Adamites. All right, and all the other 17 nations as well stem from Adam. But here's what it says. Here's what the Most High says about in terms of the other nations. Not my words. I'm not just a disgruntled, citizen here in Babylon. These are the rules of the Heavenly Father. 2nd Ezra chapter 6 verse 56. As for the other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and hast likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. So in terms of all these other 17 heathen nations, the Most High saying they are all beneath us, and that is the truth. You are like a drop of a spittle. All right, if you got like a big potter, a big vessel of water, and you lose one drop of water, you're not really gonna give a damn about losing that. That's how the Most High feels about you people, man. You are beneath us. You are beneath his only begotten son, Yahushua. You are beneath the elect, the house of David, and you are also underneath the 2/3 of the nation of Israel. The most wickedest Israelite on the planet Earth is better than all you 17 people, all you people that make up the 17 heathen nations combined. He's better than each and every last one of you, and he is going to rule over you with the rod of iron in the kingdom of heaven, and bash you upside your head and dash you into pieces like a potter's vessel. The whole nation, beginning with Yahushua our Lord and the house of David all the way down, we are going to break you the fuck up in the kingdom of heaven. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh. And this what shows our place. This is the children of Israel. This is Psalms 82 and 6. I have said ye are gods, and all of you are the children of the Most High. That's Psalms the 83rd chapter. That was a psalm of Asaph saying that. Asaph said that. Because we are Yashra'Allah, or Israel in the Paleo Hebrew, Yah meaning he, Shah meaning prince, and Allah meaning power. We are princes of the power. So we're not the God. I'm not the God, but I'm a God. I'm a prince of the power. All right? And all you 17 heathen nations, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem HaKadosh, you are beneath me, and you are beneath every other Israelite man that has ever walked the face of this earth, as well as the ones up there in the spirit world right now. That's how it was, it is, and it will always be. Now let me get back to this micro C hit real quick. Because 2/3 of our people are not going to make it here on this side when the Yahushua comes back with the heavenly armada of angels and what is known as so-called UFOs. to gather the elect of the nation of Israel. The 144,000, which are 12,000 men for each 12 tribes. The remaining 4 apostles here, which I hope that they are saved, and I hope that they are beamed up and saved from this coming calamity, as well as the other apostles that are up there in the spirit world. All right. Revelation 14 and 9 to 11. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of Yahweh, which is poured without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. That's talking about when the last 2 major prophecies that need to happen is the mandatory implementation of the MOTB. And when that happens, World War III is going to ensue here on the soils of Babylon. That's why she's called the virgin daughter of Babylon, because war has not broken out on her soils yet. But when the MOTB becomes mandatory here in Babylon, where we will be tested in those concentration camps, some of us will be martyred and put to, martyred for saying we refuse to take the mark of the beast. And the 2/3 of the nation of Israel, pursuant to Zechariah 13 and 8, they're going to take that microchip and they're going to die in this third world's nuclear fire, third world's war, which consists of thermonuclear fire. But they will come back through the loins of the elect in the kingdom of heaven as newborn babies, and they will be perfect and inherit the kingdom of heaven. That's their promise. That's the promise the Heavenly Father made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. As it is said, as it's written, all Israel shall be saved. So whether they have to die through death by pain and come back in the kingdom of heaven as babies, or they get saved here from the thermonuclear destruction, all Israel is going to be saved. All the men, we will all be kings and priests. And right now we're all saints too. That's literal. And this is what happens. Revelation 19 and 20. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him. The false prophet is people like Elon Musk with his Neuralink, claiming that, it can help people and help rewire their brain and help fix them and make them healthy and stuff. That's all bullshit. He's a false prophet, with which he deceived them that had received the mark. You see there? They always claim something was more convenient and it's better for you, makes your quality of life easier. That's the lie. That's the deception. Another way that they do it is called controlled out of chaos. They cause a catastrophe, and then they get control, and then they order the chaos. Or control, what's the word? This guy named Mark to his Hamilton said it best. He said, control, chaos, chaos, control. Problem, reaction, solution. They cause the problems, they see the reaction of the people, and then they provide what they feel is the best solution to that problem. How fitting is it that during that specific problem, they have the most and best fitting solution as far as they think. All right. Okay, and the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast into the lake of fire burning with brimstone. And like I said earlier, for you lesser position Edomites out here, well, I go to work every day. Shut the fuck up. Revelation 30 and 16. Therefore, because you still are complacent and you still are receiving those so-called white benefits and privileges based upon your people, the rich elite banking families, enslaving the people here in this sign all over the four corners of the earth, but especially here in Babylon. Jeremiah 13 and 16. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all they that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. All right? For some of you people, you're not rich banking families, but some of you motherfuckers that are 60, 70, 80 years old that I see walking around, we know goddamn well you had a hand in hanging one of us, or fucking with some of my kinfolk, that my grandparents, parents and them. You them same motherfuckers, boy. You finna catch it all the same. You're better off living, but yeah, you don't live in a Waterston Manor or a Biltmore Estate. You got to work a 9 to 5 for 20, 30, 40 years of your life. That's your fucking problem. All right? That's pursuing Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter and the 7th verse, which reads this. And it's happening to you right before your very eyes. Your bitches used to live in homes and have slaves, you know, have our people as slaves. Now look at them. They work 2 and 3 jobs now, and your bitches work 2 and 3 jobs, and they can still only afford to live in a car. All right, that's the curses coming upon you. Deuteronomy 30:7, and the Lord, Yahweh thy power, will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. All right, and as well as Revelation 13:9 and 10, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And also pursuant to Obadiah, the first verse of Obadiah 1 and 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall be none remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, has spoken it. So there it is. All right. So with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glories to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Harukakudash. Double honors to the elders and apostles and bishops of Great Millstone who teach and still rule well. Also on my channel, the MOTB is here too. Lord willing, I always do a video, spirit permitting, every Saturday. But on the post section of my video, of my channel, I'm always putting up videos of my elders, the 4 remaining apostles. Elder Apostle Tahar, what is the 666 Mark II GMS True? Elder Apostle Gabar, Daily Edification 4. Elder Apostle Ricard, GMS. Keep pushing on. Now on his channel, always go to the live section of his channel. He's always putting up a live post every day. All right, as well as GMS Info Channel 12. That's Elder Apostle Oriam Law, and they cover topics pertaining to, you know, the who, what, where, when, why, and how, and the nature of reality. And they take past and present events and filter it through the scriptures. When I say the scriptures, I mean the Old Testament, the Apocrypha, as well as the New Testament, okay? They got thousands of videos that cover any and all questions regarding the nature of reality, the who, what, where, when, why, and how, from the time of Adam. Even before the time of Adam, up until now, and all the way segue into the kingdom of heaven, which will be done here on earth, all right? So I hope you people have been enlightened on the nature of reality. To the hopeful elect, to the elect, whoever you are, I hope you find this video enlightening. And, you know, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Harukakudash, Barak Thumb to all of you, the elect, whoever you are. I don't know. I hope myself I'm of the elect. I don't have a guaranteed spot as the elect, but I hope. And I'm trying to be diligent to make my call and election sure. So until the next time, you know, Shalom, stay strong, okay?